the beginning song, and also the ending song. So it is sung, oh so vast, oh so mighty, the great river rolls to sea, flowers do waves thrash, heroes do sands smash, when all the dreams drain, same are lose and gain. Green mountains remain as sunsets ingrain, hoary fishers and woodcutters, and some small rafts in calm waters, in autumn moon, in spring winds, by the wine jars, by porcelains, discuss talk and tale, only laugh and gale. Chapter 1. 3 heroes swear brotherhood in the peach garden. 1 victory shatters the rebels in Battlegrounds. Domains under heaven, after a long period of division, tends to unite. After a long period of union, tends to divide. This has been so since antiquity. When the rule of the Zhou dynasty weakened, 7 contending kingdoms sprang up, warring one with another until the kingdom of Qin prevailed and possessed the empire. But when Qin's destiny had been fulfilled, arose 2 opposing kingdoms, Chu and Han, to fight for the mastery. And Han was the victor. The rise of the fortunes of Han began when Liu Bei, the supreme ancestor, slew a white serpent to raise the banners of uprising, which only ended when the whole empire belonged to Han, BC 202. This magnificent heritage was handed down in successive Han emperors for 200 years, till the rebellion of Wang Mang caused a disruption. But soon Liu Xiu, the latter Han founder, restored the empire, and Han emperors continued their rule for another 200 years, till the days of Emperor Xian, which were doomed to see the beginning of the empire's division into 3 parts, known to history as the 3 Kingdoms. But the descent into misrule hastened in the reigns of the 2 predecessors of Emperor Xian, Emperors Huan and Ling, who sat in the dragon throne about the middle of the 2nd century. Emperor Huan paid no heed to the good people of his court, but gave his confidence to the palace eunuchs. He lived and died, leaving the scepter to Emperor Ling, whose advisors were Regent Marshal Dao Wu and Imperial Guardian Chen Fan. Dao Wu and Chen Fan, disgusted with the abuses of the eunuchs in the affairs of the state, plotted the destruction for the power-abusing eunuchs. But Chief Eunuch Cao Cao was not to be disposed of easily. The plot leaked out, and the honest Dao Wu and Chen Fan were put to death, leaving the eunuchs stronger than before. It fell upon the day of full moon of the 4th month, the 2nd year, in the era of established calm, AD 168, that Emperor Ling went in state to the Hall of Virtue. As he drew near the throne, a rushing whirlwind arose in the corner of the hall, and, lo, from the roof, beams floated down a monstrous black serpent that coiled itself up on the very seat of majesty. The emperor fell in a swoon. Those nearest him hastily raised and bore him to his palace, while the courtiers scattered and fled. The serpent disappeared, but there followed a terrific tempest, thunder, hail, and torrents of rain, lasting till midnight and working havoc on all sides. 2 years later, the earth quaked in capital Luoyang, while along the coast a huge tidal wave rushed in, which in its recoil swept away all the dwellers by the sea. Another evil omen was recorded 10 years later, when the rain title was changed to Radiant Harmony, AD 178. Certain hens suddenly crowed. At the new moon of the 6th month, a long wreath of murky cloud wound its way into the Hall of Virtue, while in the following month, a rainbow was seen in the Dragon Chamber. Away from the capital, a part of the Yuan Mountains collapsed, leaving a mighty rift in the flank. Such were some of various omens. Emperor Ling, greatly moved by these signs of the displeasure of heaven, issued an edict asking his ministers for an explanation of the calamities and marvels. A court counselor, Kai Yong, replied bluntly, "Falling rainbows and changes of foul sexes are brought about by the interference of empresses and eunuchs in state affairs." The emperor read this memorial with deep sighs, and Chief Eunuch Cao Cao, from his place behind the throne, anxiously noted these signs of grief. An opportunity offering, Cao Cao informed his fellows, and a charge was trumped up against Kai Yong, who was driven from the court and forced to retire to his country house. With this victory, the eunuchs grew bolder. 10 of them, rivals in wickedness and associates in evil deeds, formed a powerful party known as the 10 regular attendants: Zhang Rang, Zhao Zhong, Cheng Kuang, Duan Gui, Feng Shu, Guo Sheng, Ho Lan, Jian Shuo, Cao Ji, and Xia Yun. One of them, Zhang Rang, won such influence that he became the emperor's most honored and trusted advisor. The emperor even called him foster father. So the corrupt state administration went quickly from bad to worse, till the country was ripe for rebellion and buzzed with brigandage. At this time in the county of Julu was a certain Zhang family, of whom 3 brothers bore the name of Zhang Jue, Zhang Ba, and Zhang Lian, respectively. The eldest Zhang Jue was an unclassed graduate who devoted himself to medicine. One day, while culling simples in the woods, Zhang Jue met a venerable old gentleman with very bright emerald eyes and fresh complexion, who walked with an oak-wood staff. The old man beckoned Zhang Jue into a cave, and there gave him 3 volumes of the Book of Heaven. "This book," said the old gentleman, "is the way of peace. With the aid of these volumes, you can convert the world and rescue humankind. But you must be single-minded, or, rest assured, you will greatly suffer." With a humble obeisance, Zhang Jue took the book and asked the name of his benefactor. "I am Saint Hermit of the Southern Land," was the reply, as the old gentleman disappeared in thin air. Zhang Jue studied the wonderful book eagerly and strove day and night to reduce its precepts to practice. Before long he could summon the winds and command the rain, and he became known as the mystic of the way of peace. In the first month of the first year of central stability, AD 184, there was a terrible pestilence that ran throughout the land, whereupon Zhang Jue distributed charmed remedies to the afflicted. The godly medicines brought big successes, and soon he gained the title of the wise and worthy master. He began to have a following of disciples whom he initiated into the mysteries and sent abroad throughout all the land. They, like their master, could write charms and recite formulas, and their fame increased his following. Zhang Jue began to organize his disciples. He established 36 circuits, the larger with 10,000 or more members, the smaller with about half that number. Each circuit had its chief who took the military title of general. They talked wildly of the death of the blue heaven and the setting up of the golden one. They said a new cycle was beginning and would bring universal good fortune to all members. And they persuaded people to chalk the symbols for the first year of the new cycle on the main door of their dwellings. With the growth of the number of his supporters grew also the ambition of Zhang Jue. The wise and worthy master dreamed of empire. One of his partisans, Ma Yuanyi, was sent bearing gifts to gain the support of the eunuchs within the palace. To his brothers, Zhang Jue said, "For schemes like ours, always the most difficult part is to gain the popular favor, but that is already ours. Such an opportunity must not pass." And they began to prepare. Many yellow flags and banners were made, and a day was chosen for the uprising. Then Zhang Jue wrote letters to eunuch Feng Shu and sent them by one of his followers, Tang Zhou, who, alas, betrayed his trust and reported the plot to the court. The emperor summoned the trusty regent marshal He Jin and bade him look to the issue. Ma Yuanyi was at once taken and beheaded. Feng Shu and many others were cast into prison. The plot having thus become known, the Zhang brothers were forced at once to take the field. They took up grandiose titles, Zhang Jue the Lord of Heaven, Zhang Ba the Lord of Earth, and Zhang Lian the Lord of Human. And in these names, they put forth this manifesto: "The good fortune of the Han is exhausted, and the wise and worthy man has appeared. Discern the will of heaven, O ye people, and walk in the way of righteousness, whereby alone ye may attain to peace." Support was not lacking. On every side, people bound their heads with yellow scarves and joined the army of the rebel Zhang Jue, so that soon his strength was nearly 500,000 strong, and the official troops melted away at a whisper of his coming. Regent Marshal and Guardian of the Throne, He Jin, memorialized for general preparations against the yellow scarves, and an edict called upon everyone to fight against the rebels. In the meantime, 3 imperial commanders, Lu Ji, Huang Fu Song, and Zhu Jun, marched against them in 3 directions with veteran soldiers. Meanwhile, Zhang Jue led his army into Yuzhou, the northeastern region of the empire. The imperial protector of Yuzhou was Liu Yan, a scion of the imperial house. Learning of the approach of the rebels, Liu Yan called in Commander Zhou Jing to consult over the position. Zhou Jing said, "They are many and we few. We must enlist more troops to oppose them." Liu Yan agreed, and he put out notices calling for volunteers to serve against the rebels. One of these notices was posted up in the county of Zhuo, where lived one man of high spirit. This man was no mere bookish scholar, nor found he any pleasure in study. But he was liberal and amiable, albeit a man of few words, hiding all feeling under a calm exterior. He had always cherished a yearning for high enterprise and had cultivated the friendship of humans of mark. He was tall of stature. His ears were long, the lobes touching his shoulders, and his hands hung down below his knees. His eyes were very big and prominent, so that he could see backward past his ears. His complexion was as clear as jade, and he had rich red lips. He was a descendant of Prince Sheng of Zhongshan, whose father was the Emperor Jing, the fourth emperor of the Han dynasty. His name was Liu Bei. Many years before, one of his forebears had been the governor of that very county, but had lost his rank for remissness in ceremonial offerings. However, that branch of the family had remained on in the place, gradually becoming poorer and poorer as the years rolled on. His father Liu Hong had been a scholar and a virtuous official, but died young. The widow and orphan were left alone, and Liu Bei as a lad won a reputation for filial piety. At this time the family had sunk deep in poverty, and Liu Bei gained his living by selling straw sandals and weaving grass mats. The family home was in a village near the chief city of Zhuo. Near the house stood a huge mulberry tree, and seen from afar its curved profile resembled the canopy of a wagon. Noting the luxuriance of its foliage, a soothsayer had predicted that one day a man of distinction would come forth from the family. As a child, Liu Bei played with the other village children beneath this tree, and he would climb up into it saying, "I am the son of heaven, and this is my chariot." His uncle, Liu Yuanqi, recognized that Liu Bei was no ordinary boy and saw to it that the family did not come to actual want. When Liu Bei was 15, his mother sent him traveling for his education. For a time he served Zheng Xuan and Lu Ji as masters, and he became great friends with Gong Sun Zan. Liu Bei was 28 when the outbreak of the yellow scarves called for soldiers. The sight of the notice saddened him, and he sighed as he read it. Suddenly, a rasping voice behind him cried, "Sir, why sigh if you do nothing to help your country?" Turning quickly, he saw standing there a man about his own height, with a bullet head like a leopard's, large eyes, a swallow-pointed chin, and whiskers like a tiger's. He spoke in a loud bass voice and looked as irresistible as a dashing horse. At once Liu Bei saw he was no ordinary man and asked who he was. "Zhang Fei is my name," replied the stranger. "I live near here where I have a farm, and I am a wine seller and a butcher as well, and I like to become acquainted with worthy people. Your sighs as you read the notice drew me toward you." Liu Bei replied, "I am of the imperial family. Liu Bei is my name. And I wish I could destroy these yellow scarves and restore peace to the land. But alas, I am helpless." "I have the means," said Zhang Fei. "Suppose you and I raised some troops and tried what we could do." This was happy news for Liu Bei, and the two betook themselves to the village inn to talk over the project. As they were drinking, a huge, tall fellow appeared pushing a handcart along the road. At the threshold he halted and entered the inn to rest a while, and he called for wine. "And be quick," added he, "for I'm in haste to get into the town and offer myself for the army." Liu Bei looked over the newcomer, item by item, and he noted the man had a huge frame, a long beard, a vivid face like an apple, and deep red lips. He had eyes like a phoenix's and fine, bushy eyebrows like silkworms. His whole appearance was dignified and awe-inspiring. Presently Liu Bei crossed over, sat down beside him, and asked his name. "I am Guan Yu," replied he. "I am a native of the east side of the river, but I have been a fugitive on the waters for some 5 years, because I slew a ruffian who, since he was powerful, was a bully. I have come to join the army here." Then Liu Bei told Guan Yu his own intentions, and all three went away to Zhang Fei's farm, where they could talk over the grand project. Said Zhang Fei, "The peach trees in the orchard behind the house are just in full flower. Tomorrow we will institute a sacrifice there and solemnly declare our intention before heaven and earth. And we three will swear brotherhood and unity of aims and sentiments. Thus will we enter upon our great task." Both Liu Bei and Guan Yu gladly agreed. All three being of one mind, next day they prepared the sacrifices, a black ox, a white horse, and wine for libation. Beneath the smoke of the incense burning on the altar, they bowed their heads and recited this oath. We three, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei, though of different families, swear brotherhood and promise mutual help to one end. We will rescue each other in difficulty. We will aid each other in danger. We swear to serve the state and save the people. We ask not the same day of birth, but we seek to die together. May heaven, the all-ruling, and earth, the all-producing, red our hearts. If we turn aside from righteousness or forget kindliness, may heaven and humans smite us. They rose from their knees. The two others bowed before Liu Bei as their elder brother, and Zhang Fei was to be the youngest of the trio. This solemn ceremony performed, they slew other oxen and made a feast to which they invited the villagers. 300 joined them, and all feasted and drank deep in the peach garden. The next day weapons were mustered, but there were no horses to ride. This was a real grief, but soon they were cheered by the arrival of 2 horse dealers with a drove of horses. "Thus does heaven help us," said Liu Bei, and the 3 brothers went forth to welcome the merchants. They were Zhang Shiping and Su Shuang from Zhongshan. They went northwards every year to buy horses. They were now on their way home because of the yellow scarves. The brothers invited them to the farm where wine was served before them. Then Liu Bei told them of the plan to strive for tranquility. Zhang Shiping and Su Shuang were glad, and at once gave the brothers 50 good steeds, and beside, 500 ounces of gold and silver and 1,500 pounds of steel fit for the forging of weapons. The brothers expressed their gratitude, and the merchants took their leave. Then blacksmiths were summoned to forge weapons. For Liu Bei, they made a pair of ancient swords. For Guan Yu, they fashioned a long-handled curve blade called Green Dragon Saber, which weighed a full 120 pounds. And for Zhang Fei, they created a 10-foot spear called Serpent Halberd. Each 2 had a helmet and full armor. When weapons were ready, the troop, now 500 strong, marched to Commander Zhou Jing, who presented them to Imperial Protector Liu Yan. When the ceremony of introduction was over, Liu Bei declared his ancestry, and Liu Yan at once accorded him the esteem, due to a relation. Before many days it was announced that the rebellion had actually broken out, and a Yellow Scarves chieftain, Cheng Yuanji, had invaded the region with a body of 50,000 rebels. Liu Yan bade Zhou Jing and the 3 brothers to go out to oppose them with the 500 troops. Liu Bei joyfully undertook to lead the van and marched to the foot of the Daxing Hills where they saw the rebels. The rebels wore their hair flying about their shoulders, and their foreheads were bound with yellow scarves. When the 2 armies had been drawn up opposite each other, Liu Bei rode to the front, Guan Yu to his left, Zhang Fei to his right. Flourishing his whip, Liu Bei began to hurl reproaches at the rebels, crying, "O malcontents! Why not dismount and be bound?" Their leader Cheng Yuanji, full of rage, sent out one general, Deng Mao, to begin the battle. At once rode forward Zhang Fei, his serpent halberd poised to strike. One thrust, and Deng Mao rolled off his horse, pierced through the heart. At this, Cheng Yuanji himself whipped up his steed and rode forth with sword raised ready to slay Zhang Fei. But Guan Yu swung up his ponderous green dragon saber and rode at Cheng Yuanji. At the sight fear seized upon Cheng Yuanji, and before he could defend himself the great saber fell, cutting him in halves. Their leader fallen, the rebels threw away their weapons and fled. The official soldiers dashed in among them. Many thousands surrendered, and the victory was complete. Thus this part of the rebellion was broken up. On their return, Liu Yan personally met them and distributed rewards. But the next day, letters came from Imperial Protector Gong Jing of Qingzhou region, saying that the rebels were laying siege to the chief city, and it was near falling. Help was needed quickly. "I will go," said Liu Bei as soon as he heard the news, and he set out at once with his own soldiers, reinforced by a body of 5,000 under Zhou Jing. The rebels, seeing help coming, at once attacked most fiercely. The relieving force, being comparatively small, could not prevail and retired some 10 miles, where they made a camp. "They are many, and we but few," said Liu Bei to his brothers. "We can only beat them by superior strategy." So, they prepared an ambush. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei, each with a goodly party, went behind the hills right and left and there hid. When the gongs beat, they were to move out to support the main army. These preparations made, the drums rolled noisily for Liu Bei to advance. The rebels also came forward. But Liu Bei suddenly retired. Thinking this was their chance, The rebels pressed forward and were led over the hills. Then suddenly the gongs sounded for the ambush. Guan Yu and Zhang Fei poured out from right and left as Liu Bei faced around to meet the rebels. Under three-side attack, the rebels lost heavily and fled to the walls of Qingzhou City. But Imperial Protector Gong Jing led out an armed body to attack them, and the rebels were entirely defeated and many slain. Qingzhou was no longer in danger. After the celebrations in honor of victory were over, Commander Zhou Jing proposed to return to Yuzhou, but Liu Bei said, "We are informed that Imperial Commander Lu Ji has been struggling with a horde of rebels led by Zhang Jue at Guangzhong. Lu Ji was once my teacher, and I want to go to help him." So Liu Bei and Zhou Jing separated, and the three brothers with their troops made their way of Guangzhong. They found Lu Ji's camp, were admitted to his presence, and declared the reason of their coming. The commander received them with great joy, and they remained with him while he made his plans. At that time, Zhang Jue's 150,000 troops and Lu Ji's 50,000 troops were facing each other. Neither had had any success. Lu Ji said to Liu Bei, "I am able to surround these rebels here, but the other two brothers, Zhang Ba and Zhang Lian, are strongly entrenched opposite Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun at Yingchuan. I will give you 1,000 more troops, and with these you can go to find out what is happening, and we can then settle the moment for concerted attack." So Liu Bei set off and marched as quickly as possible to Yingchuan. At that time the imperial troops were attacking with success, and the rebels had retired upon Changshe. They had encamped among the thick grass. Seeing this, Huang Fusong said to Zhu Jun, "The rebels are camping in the field. We can attack them by fire." So the imperial commanders bade every man cut a bundle of dry grass and laid an ambush. That night the wind blew a gale, and at the second watch they started a blaze. At the same time, Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun's troops attacked the rebels and set their camp on fire. The flames rose to the very heaven. The rebels were thrown into great confusion. There was no time to saddle horses or don armor. They fled in all directions. The battle continued until dawn. Zhang Lian and Zhang Ba, with a group of flying rebels, found a way of escape. But suddenly a troop of soldiers with crimson banners appeared to oppose them. Their leader was a man of medium stature with small eyes and a long beard. He was Cao Cao, a Beijuo man, holding the rank of general of the flying cavalry. His father was Cao Song, but he was not really a Cao. Cao Song had been born to the Xiaohu family, but he had been brought up by eunuch Cao Teng and had taken this family name. As a young man, Cao Cao had been fond of hunting and delighted in songs and dancing. He was resourceful and full of guile. An uncle, seeing the young fellow so unsteady, used to get angry with him and told his father of his misdeeds. His father remonstrated with him, but Cao Cao made equal to the occasion. One day, seeing his uncle coming, he fell to the ground in a pretended fit. The uncle, alarmed, ran to tell his father, who came, and there was the youth in most perfect health. "But your uncle said you were in a fit. Are you better?" said his father. "I have never suffered from fits or any such illness," said Cao Cao, "but I have lost my uncle's affection, and he has deceived you." Thereafter, whatever the uncle might say of his faults, his father paid no heed. So the young man grew up licentious and uncontrolled. A man of the time named Qiao Xuan said to Cao Cao, "Rebellion is at hand, and only a man of the greatest ability can succeed in restoring tranquility. That man is yourself." And Ho Yo of Nanyang said of him, "The dynasty of Han is about to fall. He who can restore peace is this man and only he." Cao Cao went to inquire his future of a wise man of Runan named Shu Shao. "What manner of man am I?" asked Cao Cao. The seer made no reply, and again Cao Cao pressed the question. Then Shu Shao replied, "In peace you are an able subject, in chaos you are a crafty hero." Cao Cao greatly rejoiced to hear this. Cao Cao greatly rejoiced to hear this. Cao Cao graduated at 20 and earned a reputation of piety and integrity. He began his career in a county near capital Luoyang. In the 4 gates of the city he ruled, he hung up clubs of various sorts, and he would punish any breach of the law, whatever the rank of the offender. Now an uncle of eunuch Jin Shou was found one night in the streets with a sword, and was arrested. In due course, he was beaten. Thereafter no one dared to offend again, and Cao Cao's name became heard. Soon, he became a magistrate of Dunqiu. At the outbreak of the Yellow Scarves, Cao Cao held the rank of general and was given command of 5,000 horse and foot to help fight at Yingchuan. He just happened to fall in with the newly defeated rebels whom he cut to pieces. Thousands were slain, and endless banners and drums and horses were captured, together with huge sums of money. However, Zhang Ba and Zhang Lian got away, and after an interview with Huang Fusong, Cao Cao went in pursuit of them. Meanwhile, Liu Bei and his brothers were hastening toward Yingchuan when they heard the din of battle and saw flames rising high toward the sky. However, they arrived too late for the fighting. They saw Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun, to whom they told the intentions of Liu Ji. "The rebel power is quite broken here," said the commanders, "but they will surely make for Guangzhong to join Zhang Jue. You can do nothing better than hasten back." The three brothers thus retraced their steps. Halfway along the road, they met a party of soldiers escorting a prisoner in a cage cart. When they drew near, they saw the prisoner was no other than Liu Ji, the man they were going to help. Hastily dismounting, Liu Bei asked what had happened. Liu Ji explained, "I had surrounded the rebels and was on the point of smashing them when Zhang Jue employed some of his supernatural powers and prevented my victory. The court sent down eunuch Zhuo Feng to inquire into my failure, and that official demanded a bribe. I told him how hard-pressed we were and asked him where, in the circumstances, I could find a gift for him. He went away in wrath and reported that I was hiding behind my ramparts and would not give battle, and that I disheartened my army. So I was superseded by Dongzhuo, and I have to go to the capital to answer the charge." This story put Zhang Fei into a rage. He was for slaying the escort and setting free Liu Ji, but Liu Bei checked him. "The government will take the proper course," said Liu Bei. "You must not act hastily." And the escort and the three brothers went two ways. It was useless to continue on that road to Guangzhong, so Guan Yu proposed to go back to Zhuo, and they retook the road. 2 days later, they heard the thunder of battle behind some hills. Hastening to the top, they beheld the government soldiers suffering great loss, and they saw the countryside was full of yellow scarves. On the rebels' banners were the words, "Zhang Jue, the Lord of Heaven," written large. "We will attack this Zhang Jue," said Liu Bei to his brothers, and they galloped out to join in the battle. Zhang Jue had worsted Dongzhuo and was following up his advantage. He was in hot pursuit when the three brothers dashed into his army, threw his ranks into confusion, and drove him back 15 miles. Then the brothers returned with the rescued general to his camp. "What offices have you?" asked Dongzhuo when he had leisure to speak to the brothers. "None," replied they, and Dongzhuo treated them with disrespect. Liu Bei retired calmly, but Zhang Fei was furious. "We have just rescued this menial in a bloody fight," cried Zhang Fei, "and now he is rude to us. Nothing but his death can slake my anger." Zhang Fei stamped toward Dongzhuo's tent, holding firmly a sharp sword. Dongzhuo's fate will be unrolled in later chapters.
Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more excellent content.